What is that?
For the sunrise open estimate about thunder.
Well, no, that's,
Yeah.
either fine.
Start to think like so for me, I look out the
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
stop at the front of the building, stop there,
It's always hard. Yeah.
This is a simple one. I'm not.
Good day, everybody.
Good day.
It is a good day. And our brother Evel's going to come up and give us a little prayer and reflection. Please bow your heads and pray with me. Father, we thank you for this beautiful day that we can come together as Rotarians, for the warm fellowship we have together today, even on a cold day. Father, we pray that you help us to always think about what you have designed for us to be service, to put service above self, and for all that this club does. We thank you, Father, for our President Mark, and also for, Father, those who will present today, that we would understand the importance of Boone County and the planning. And but Father, we also pray that you be with the international situation, with those civilians suffering in Gaza, the West Bank, Sudan, DR Congo, Ukraine, Syria, Nigeria, for those in Japan that are affected by the many hurricanes, and the Ukrainians, Father, suffered from, again, a fresh set of bombing. We pray, Father, that this would not affect peace that we have throughout the world, that we continue, Father, to be able to protect those who are less fortunate in our communities, the widows and the orphans. Father, bless this food that we've had to the nourishment of our bodies, so we could do your work in this day. Through your Son, our Savior, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. Amen. For pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America.
and to the republic which stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we test the things we think, say, or do, first. Second.
Is it fair to all concerned?
Third.
Will the bill be will and right
Fourth.
will be
all concerned.
Thank you all.
On. Yes, we have visitors, but there's not a lot signed in, so I'm sure Charlie or Kevin will let us know who's here today when they get their turn. My sports things are getting kind of weak.
Yeah, buddy.
Much to the chagrin of my sons, yesterday was a good football game until it wasn't. And I seem to be able to get over it better these days than the youth of America. So I guess I felt that way at some point, but it was a good thing until it wasn't. So that's my Wildcats, Lord, I have no idea when that's going to come back around. If you could throw them into your prayer next week, I'd basically appreciate it. So the one little highlight I will give you is that one of my participants today, and many of you know, I work with individuals with developmentally delayed. And he said to me, Sean, why did Tigger go and look in the toilet? And I said, Eric, I do not know. He wanted to see food. That's all I got. Thank you. That won't be here 2 nights this week. Deal.
I don't know how to follow up on that.
Yeah, you can't.
It's fine.
I tell you, that's the week, that's the way it's going.
Yeah. We're coming to the time where we need to get
our dues in is it's time to report how many people we have in the group, and we have to pay the district and international based upon our actual numbers. So if you haven't paid, please do. Because there's a chance if you haven't paid that we might have to drop them from the roll so we don't have to pay for you. As we talked about last week, briefly, more to come on this, but we have combined our groups. So whatever group you were in, look and see who's either joined you or if you stayed the same. And Paul. Dwayne. Where are
So this is the week that we go pick up toys for the Steinford drive. And so I have a list of the places that are pickups. And I've got the name, I got the address and so on and so forth. If you'll see me after the meeting, I'll give you that list and you can pick a place that you want to help with. Dennis is going to help, and Wayne, he's on board with that. So just see me after the meeting and we'll get it all figured out. Yep, ma'am.
Make sure you take a picture when you do the pickup.
Awesome. Okay, gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, I saw that Dwayne, you're gonna be Santa with me at 2:00.
You better believe
Baby. We got it covered. So this is for next, Bart, why am I talking? Go ahead.
So here's the sign up sheet and I'm going to pass it around one more time, but we have a lot of empty spaces on here, so.
And that's
Let's start with George here.
this Friday at
Yeah.
Mall Road Kroger's.
And we're gonna be there from, well, 9:45, but we start at 10 and go till 8. So please sign up for one of those slots that are open. And anyone else who wants to be Rudolph can be Rudolph too. I don't need to look at all that.
What is Rudolph do?
Just wait.
Okay, some of us have gone to the Rotary Learning Institute down in Lexington. The next days will be in February. If you've gone through number 1, then it'll be number 2 for you. If you've gone through number 2, like I had, it'll be number 3.
And you get to graduate.
Yay. It's been a long time since I graduated from anything. So if you're interested, you got time to see when it's coming, there'll be more on that for sure. Jim.
We are still doing the January 12th auction. What this benefits is our club itself, not the foundation or the community. This helps us operate. We did in 2019, but for the last time people brought in this case, you're gonna bring some Christmas presents you flat out don't want. And somebody else will, and we'll raise money for the club on January 12th. Bring them in as soon as you can.
As you see, this will be part of that auction for Frank Sinatra. If you got a Frank Sinatra fan in your family, perfect opportunity. Do you want to talk about this or we talk enough?
Yeah, I think I just want to give a shout out to Neville because Neville sent me an email that was some starting for content for some of the pages. I'm going to copy that, put it in the drive, and I'm going to invite people on the teams or who's on the initiative. And then you're to go in and beef it up. Like to say, this looks good is not going to be accepted. We need some history and different, like I know Dennis has a ton of history. Pat Rafferty has history on the Steinford Toy Drive. So we want all that knowledge in there so we have it captured.
Perfect. Thank you. In our numbers that have risen, I think last time I looked, it was 16 people. Now we're up to 22. Nicely done. As we have discussed in the past.
I changed the picture.
Yeah, I see that.
I got tired.
Yeah, I got tired of the other one. So district conference, we're going to help run that and we're going to also help to finance that. But if one of your businesses are in the position where they can help the Greg out with a donation to help keep the cost down as low as possible for Rotarians, he would certainly appreciate that. Any announcements? I have one. Anyone else? The announcement is years ago, Mr. Greiser led us in a Christmas program. And we're going to do that on the 22nd.
Oh,
Let's be very.
I think I can do it. Hold on. I
So
think I can do it.
we'll have LD's supposed to be coming and devotional time, singing time, sing along time, story time. It'll be a time.
We used to invite our ministers to come to that and absolutely, then we sounded better singing when our ministers were here. I suggest you invite your minister to come with you that day and be
More the merrier. Bring your priest, bring your pastor. That time of year, they could probably use a nice lunch and hear someone else do the work. So. Paul, happy birthday. A little early.
Happy birthday,
He's not in here. Well, when he comes back, everyone wish him happy birthday. Happy dollars. I have 3. George.
I'm happy to announce that I'm available to collect the happy dollars as you have something to be happy about.
There you go. There you go.
And we go to the right place. I've already paid my 3. Hard. Happy dollars. Gary's gonna be singing. That makes me very happy. Number 2, my wife's birthday is Friday, so she'll be 63. Very happy about that. And probably number 1, St. Tim's. My nephew is the music director there. And he
Phenomenal.
took the school's children's choir to New York City to perform at Music City Hall or whatever. It's
Wow.
with Rockettes and all that.
Oh, that's where they were this week.
He had, I bet there was 40 children that were on stage singing. And about 200 other people that came to support choir. So they all had a very good time performing and all the seeing musicals and stuff. Pat.
Thank you very much, each of you, for attending today. It's my pleasure to introduce Kevin Costello. He is the Executive Director of the Boone County Planning Commission. I've had the pleasure to know Mr. Costello for a few years. First, as a parent at Ryle High School, his children came through the school and got to know him then, and then also working with him on the Planning and Zoning Committee whenever we were doing some redistricting work within the school system. So please welcome Kevin Costello.
Thank you. I appreciate giving out those 2 diplomas to my 2 daughters.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, there's an auction. You're looking for auction items, right? Yes, sir. Well, I'll ask Charlie, maybe we could auction off a seat to be on the planning commission.
I'd raise some money.
It's worth a lot, right? Please funny on that. And if you get lucky, maybe Mark would have a project before the planning commission. Yeah, there you go. But that's all right, maybe not. So it's great to be here. There's a lot of people in the room that I've done business with. And it's been great talking, getting reacquainted. But I do want to point out, we have Charlie Rolfson, our chairman, and you'll hear from Charlie a little bit later. We're going to try to limit his time. And Dr. Clark is in the back. She's one of our current board members. She represents the city of Florence. So I just want to point that out. What I thought I would do, again, introduce our staff general account. She'll be talking to the group shortly. And then we also have Bridget Stryker, who is our new preservation planner, which is something we want to spend a lot of time on. We're trying to work that balance between development and preservation. So there's some things going on. So what I thought I'd do is just talk just a few things, give you a few tidbits, and then turn it over to Jen and talk about the comprehensive plan, which is very important. Couple of things. You've heard all this stuff about housing. Thank goodness, we have good housing in our community, unlike other communities. The numbers are down in terms of production. For example, in the heyday, Boone County was generating about 1,500 new single-family homes a year.
And certainly Matt Turner would know that because that's impact the school district. But today we're only averaging about 400 single family homes. It's really, that's 400 a year versus 1,500 a year. That's very low. You may be thinking, well, I see all these apartment projects going on here and there. Yes, we have approved quite a few, wide range of sizes as well as the market, who their customer is. But a few of them have not been built, and there's reasons for that. So it's not as dramatic as you may think it is. There are some areas that need housing, and because of the employment base that we're experiencing in terms of some growth. The other thing is other businesses are coming to the county and entering the market, the greater Cincinnati market. Obviously, Wawa, which is the Pennsylvania company. Actually, if you don't know this, they really were well known, more known for food than gas.
Yeah.
And they were convenience. And if you haven't eaten that one, you can have your lunch, your breakfast, and your dinner there and get some gas on the side. But we've approved 4 of those at different locations throughout the community. The first one's going to be opening up at the Graves Road interchange shortly. So it's a different concept. I've seen some over in Ohio. They're working pretty well, and the sites are big, so it's not like a Dunkin' Donuts where you're lining all the way around the building and so forth. The other phenomenon is Publix, and again, showing some competition. We need that in our community, and also a different style building than the traditional supermarket, large supermarket that people sometimes don't like to go to because it's so large. But again, we have 3 Publix. One's already open. There's one at Graves Road, will be at Graves Road, and there's one in Florence being built on US 42. And there may be another one at this point. A couple other quick things. I mentioned preservation, also new growth. Obviously, Union is taken off. The city asked us to update the Uniontown plan. We're doing that. So that's a project that's in the works. One of the areas they're wanting us to look at is the community as it connects with the old part of town versus the new part of town. The old part being Old Union Road, that area. What could be done to enhance that area, tie into the park, Union Park area. So and then some other things. And then as important is Burlington. There's incredible amount of opportunity to look at infill development, whether it be expanding some of the retail base in the downtown area. There's a lot of people that come to Burlington during the day and leave during the day. They actually, visit the county building and then go on. So we're taking a look at some things. We've hired a firm that we had a community meeting a couple weeks ago with some of the area property owners and business owners to talk a little bit more about what could be done to do some infill housing as well as potentially add some retail component to that area. I won't bother you. There's a lot of little things that we've been doing with text amendments ranging from cannabis to truck parking to manufactured housing, which was initiated by the state legislature that we have to comply with. And so those things, some are already in place and some are things that the planning commission is in the process of looking at. So the only other thing I can tell you is that we're concerned about is certainly the airport. The airport continues to change here and there. Obviously, it's a big cargo hub right now. There was, contrary to what people think, we were told that Amazon was coming here. We were not part of that discussion at all. So we always have to deal with the impact of that, and we're doing that. So obviously, we've changed some things in terms of requirements, and you notice a big change in truck parking. Remember the old days, they were parking everywhere. It seems like they're now parking on the interstate, but there's federal laws that deals with that. And so we're trying to accommodate that on site. So there's some things we've changed to address that, but that's kind of what we do. We continue to work on redistricting. We have a project that we're helping with the school district and redistricting. So, I think I want to stop here. I'll turn it over to Jenna. She'll talk to you a little bit about the comp plan. It's kind of like the ninth inning. We're getting close to adoption, presenting it to the community. It's actually available on the website. Then I'll give you a special. Charlie will wrap it up so you can hit them any way you want.
He's got a gun.
It's fine, and body armor.
Thanks, Mike. You didn't want to use any of your slides?
No, it's all right.
All right, so now I will, I'll flip through Kevin's slides. General Account Director of Community Development Services with Planning Commission. We were here 2 years ago, kind of at the beginning of the comp plan. So, you've likely seen in some capacity, what were supposed to be Kevin's slides. But I can talk my way through them as far as comp plan, but does anybody remember us being in front of you 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were at the
Have
other
you followed-
location.
Say again.
So we were at the other location.
Yes.
Okay.
And has anybody had a chance, have you kind of followed along with the comp plan? Have you had a chance to engage there and participate? Great, glad to hear that, because right now, well, I'll get to it, but let me get through Kevin's slides real quick. So obviously, Planning Commission and our mission, so enough about the Planning Commission that I can kind of skip over these slides, kind of how we're structured, who's involved, yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and skip right through these and what it means in the state, but so with our comprehensive plan, I'm glad to hear that so many of you have participated. Just a reminder, it's a plan that we aim to update every 5 years. That is state mandated, broken into two main sections, goals and objectives, and then the elements. The elements really are the meat of the plan. We spent quite a bit of time in this round on goals and objectives and getting those updated and looking for a really uniform set of overarching guidelines from fiscal court, City of Florence, City of Walton, City of Union. And making sure that we're all on the same page, because while there are different needs throughout the county and within different jurisdictions, we are working to get under one plan. And I apologize if the formatting is off. That was not,
I thought that was like cool e-plan.
well, it was. That's how we do it now.
Yeah, it's something for young people. I didn't know what that was.
On my printout, it doesn't look like that. I apologize for that. But nonetheless, we worked with the 4 jurisdictions to get the goals and objectives adopted, and then have spent the last year plus working on filling in the elements, all of the meat of the plan itself, all of the existing conditions around those 4 topics like transportation, environment, natural resources, economy, cultural resources, all of those things. All of that work ultimately results in a set of recommendations as well as the future land use mapping, which really serves as kind of the guide, looking into the future, 20 to 30 years into the future. And so if you've been following along, you may have seen some of these images before. So I apologize if it's regurgitation, but I do think that this is a good story to tell and help visualize what it is we really do and what it really means. So what you have in front of you is a map that was generated in 1995. And in 1995, they were looking into the year 2020. So we're a bit beyond 2020 right now. Sometimes we're a little bit off of those 5-year cycles, but at the time we started this plan, this was the map that we were looking at as far as future land use. So they do go through the comprehensive planning process, have all of the community input, talk to all of the stakeholders and the experts in all of the different topic areas that we interact with on a daily basis. And it results in this future land use map that is accompanied with a huge body of text, right? It's not just the color on the map. There's conversation about what that color means in particular areas of the county. County's typically broken down in our past plans into 24 to 26 different kind of areas for discussion where you'll find that text. So this is the map generated in 1995, looking into the year 2020. And when we did an analysis of our existing land use for 2024, you kind of step back and blur your eyes just a bit. You can see that we're following that plan, right? If you take a look at the eastern third of the county, that is where all of the different colors are happening, right? Where the development is occurring in the existing land use fashion, whereas
2/3 of the county. On the western side of the county, you see the greens, the light greens. If I jump back in this particular map, it's green and white. Categories have changed in the past over time, but it's same thing. A lot of undeveloped area, a lot more rural. Development in that area when it occurs is at a lower density if it occurs at all. And you see that what the point I'm trying to make is that we're following the plan, right? Since 1995, we've really been working on filling in those development areas as guided by the comprehensive plan. And just a quick reminder, future land use does not mean that development has to occur that way. We're talking about appropriate timing when conditions are correct, when appropriate infrastructure is in place, when the need is there, is when we start to fill in that future land use map. Just because it's a color on a future land use map does not mean that it has to develop in that way right now. The reason that I wanted to go back to kind of 2020 versus 2020 vision versus 2024 existing is because as we were looking at our countywide mapping for this update, it became clear that there are really some distinct development area types or non-development area types across the county. And we began to look at the county in these 5 focus areas, making sure that when we're looking through existing conditions and we're talking about the needs and challenges across the county, we can recognize that something maybe in the Petersburg area might have very different needs or challenges than something in, say, the Florence area. Right? If development is to occur in either of those areas, it is going to look different. And while we are all still under that same set of goals and objectives that were adopted by all 4 jurisdictions, we have slightly different needs and we may need to approach those differently. So that was the approach that we took in this particular version of the comprehensive plan. And as Kevin, I think, briefly noted kind of about balancing of preservation and development. This is something that we can visualize a little more clearly when we start talking about focus areas. And we talk about particularly Western Boone County or even the Walton Verona focus area in talking about how there are much heavier preservation needs or tend to be much heavier preservation needs in those portions of the county than in, say, Florence, or the preservation needs might be different in Florence. We might be looking at individual structures, whereas in Western Boone County, we might be looking more at natural resources or the natural environment. We may be looking at much older prehistoric resources, those types of things. It's a different conversation about preservation and about development, and you can really kind of start to see that. So that's one of the reasons that we started to kind of break the county down in this manner and help guide those land use decisions and recommendations really based on those different needs and challenges and opportunities in each of these areas. So if I'm talking a mile a minute, I apologize for that. But so if you haven't seen it yet, the draft recommendations, draft plan is out for public comment. I hope that the QR code works because I'm just now realizing I haven't checked it before. Thank you, Bridget. Appreciate it. She always has my back. But we are looking to actually close public comment on this draft by 5 p.m. today. So if you haven't had a chance, please take a look. But also know that this won't be your last chance. This is the public comment that we're gathering in the event that we may want to make any adjustments or modifications before we submit this for approvals. And in that approval process, there will be a public hearing. There will be more public input gathered. It's just a little more challenging to make updates once we kind of get through this. We kind of have to lump it all and we do it out in the public forum, if that makes sense. So it is not yet scheduled, but we are aiming for a January public hearing, which is why, you know, public comments are closing 5 p.m. today. If you have any issues with that, you can contact me, you can contact Bridget, Kevin, you can contact us directly. Happy to help you get in any comments or have any conversations that you need to have. Make sure that we get it included if we are able before making that application. But again, we're hoping to aim for a January 21st public hearing. Again, that is not scheduled, that is not set in stone until the planning commission makes that decision. So all of that said, I'd like to invite you to ask any questions you have of Charlie, because Charlie is going to be on the hot spot here. You all know Charlie, yes? Does he need an introduction?
Oh, I don't think
You
so,
don't need an
no.
introduction?
Actually, any question?
Yeah, any question?
Any question of us, but
Yeah.
oh, Charlie, I throw him under the bus.
Yeah, I will filter them. Yes. No, and, you know, I feel, if you don't know me, I'm besides working for the sheriff's department and besides being a school resource officer at Ignite. And if none of you, well, I think a lot of you were here for the meeting at Ignite. If not, I highly encourage you, give me a call and I'll be glad to give you a tour. It's quite an extraordinary school. I think it's in the sixth or seventh year in existence now. And, you know, we currently have, I'm not gonna talk too much about Ignite, but anyway, we usually have, the freshman class usually has 300 students that are, we take in, and we usually have over 800 applicants. So it's quite the rigorous routine to get in or format to get in. So we end up, Mr. Turner could attest to this, we have an extraordinary student body there. We average one fight a year there for the entire year, which I think a normal high school, they average what, 2 a week? Depending on the school, but yeah, so I just use that as a benchmark, because everybody knows what a fight is. And
And then teachers. What happens is that students choose to go there. They want to go.
right,
So
and
it's a whole different.
it's a whole other end, and they value education, or somebody values education in order to get, for them to go through that process. It's rigorous. And anyway, so I love that school, so that's what I'm talking about. But anyway, but I feel very blessed. We have a magnificent staff at planning and zoning, Bridget, Jenna, and of course, Kevin, do a magnificent job, which makes my job as chairman. I think what, 7 or 8 years now I've been chairman. Not like it seems. Yeah. So the chairman position, every January you run for the executive spots. So, and then even though I encourage somebody, please take over, nobody wants to be the chairman. So that is not a fun position, but anyway, yeah, thank you all. You did an absolutely magnificent job. So that being said, so does anybody have any questions about?
Questions for Charlie?
Yeah, or anything planning and zoning related, or I'll put the spin on this before you ask a question, because I remember when I came on planning and zoning over 20 years ago, as law enforcement, it was like, I'm gonna get on planning and zoning, because I'm gonna stop all building. I'm sick of work, right, Josh? Sick of working wrecks. The roads are too crowded. I'm gonna get on there and I'm gonna transform that. I'm gonna do it. And then when you get on there and then you start realizing what the law permits, that's a whole nother ballgame. And it's the old adage, until you walk in somebody's shoes, you really shouldn't, you really aren't justified complaining about them. And that's when I quickly learned, oh, what do you mean? Yeah, you have to have a reason to vote no on it. You just can't say, I hate Wawas. I think they have, you know what I mean? You have to, like, okay, the infrastructure can't support it. The roads can't, there's no sewer there or something. You just can't say, we have enough banks. I don't want another bank, or whatever it is. So you quickly realize that there's, yeah. Well,
Peter has a question. Go ahead.
Okay.
So what do you attribute the slowdown in housing from 400 or from 1,500 down to 400?
Well, okay, Kevin can do that. I'll put my spin on it.
Go ahead.
Because nobody wants to pay $700,000 for a $250,000 home, for one. So the building costs have gone up astronomically, astronomically. And I think people don't have that money to do the 20% down to get out of the PMI, and they don't want to be a slave to their home the rest of their lives. Instead of being their starter home, it's their right. I mean, you all in the real estate business know what because my wife's a realtor. Anyway, is that fair?
It's pretty fair.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess the reason, first of all, the production's not there.
Yeah, the builders.
In 2008, we lost a lot of starter home builders. Right now, we have really 3 tract builders. That's all we have. One of the things, you've heard all these recommendations, what to do, fund more, provide more incentives, which is fine, but we need more production, basically. And what I've determined, I've researched this quite a bit in terms of, yeah, we have the 3 tract builders, but they're also some of the 2 of the 3 operate in other states. So we're not getting the builders that can really produce. And what other states are doing is they're offering incentives. It may be that they offer land at discount. And like, for example, Drees is down in Texas on a project I researched. They were offered to come down there. And so that's what we need to do. This area needs to recruit. Just like, we have an economic development corporation that loves to recruit businesses. We need to recruit builders, period. And there are big, big builders down in Texas and all that. And it doesn't have to be a big builder. It could be a medium size. But again, the market's pretty good. There's a demand. You think the powers that be would recruit that. I mean, I would say BNKY needs to recruit some builders and just try and see what happens. There's other ways to do it too. I mean, you could offer, typically government really doesn't like to be in the housing business, but in some cases they are. I mean, we do. In Boone, we provide vouchers for housing for low income people. So we are a little, to some extent in the business.
And that's why you're seeing, people are always talking about, oh my God, you approved another apartment complex. Well, the people that build apartments aren't fools. They realize there's a need for that, and people want to live where they work or in close proximity, especially with traffic on the interstate and everything else. And so they know there's a niche for that right now because people can't afford a house. And so guess what? Can't afford a house, but give us the $1,500 to $2,000 a month for the rent for the apartments. And Kevin and I talked about this. If you were a builder and you would come up with a nice starter home, forget about the 1,500, 2,000 square foot starter home, get down to 1,000 square foot, right? Because nobody wants a formal living room anymore. Nobody wants a formal dining room. They want a big kitchen, right? And put a nice little front porch on and make it cottage look, make it unique, not like a box. You make a fortune.
Yep.
You don't put it on a lot of land because nobody wants to cut their own grass anymore. And, right? And you would, and then that would provide, if you could keep that under 300,000 for that house, if you could, in that market that people could afford to do and come up with the 20% PMI and all that. So,
yeah, the other thing is you got to recognize what Boone County is. We have 3 interstates. We have an airport. The airport influences where residential can and cannot go. The other thing is, remember, they tore down homes.
a lot of.
Talk about hundreds of homes to build runways. So we're in the negative for a long time because those homes went away. There's revenues. We have two houses in Ethan's Glen subdivision because they refused to sell to the airport, which is, that's crazy. I mean, but those numbers, and like I said, we always thought there'd be a creep factor where, remember the stage 2 and stage 3 aircraft where the airport was converting to stage 3, or the airlines were. And so the idea was that the cone of noise was gonna get narrower and narrower. Well, it's kind of getting back to creeping back. And so the tendency is to, allow housing closer to that. We don't want that. We don't want to have to go through that whole thing again. But the airport is our flattest area, all the utilities, all the accessibility, literally you're 20 minutes from downtown Cincinnati. You're in, close to Indiana, you're close to Lexington and all that, Boone is. So you have to look at infill, you have to restore your house, your housing stock right now. There's, housing stock that was produced in the 50s, even older in Florence, that really they're decent homes. And if you drive around, they're decent homes. They need to be rehabbed. There's all sorts of opportunities for housing. You don't have to do new all the time. There's also, so we're trying to do to encourage that.
Does planning and zoning have any jurisdiction over airport activity?
Only if it's non-aviation. So now you may recall, let's see, who could I pick on here? Let's pick on somebody. You may recall remember when the noise contour shifted? And the Oak Brook people were outraged, Florence people were outraged. We were part of that. Actually, we hired an attorney suing, and we weren't liked back then. We wrote some pretty nasty letters. You know, Wendell Ford's office got to know us a little bit. The idea was we're responsible for playing the community, but the airport shifting noise where it shouldn't have been. And they were catering to Delhi. Remember the Sisters of Charity got the 62 DNL, which really it's 65 for residential. So we were getting and we always argued that Boone gets 24/7 noise in all four directions. If you notice, the planes wouldn't take off to the east to get Cali. It's south, north, south, but there was no departures only when the wind conditions were so bad that you had to go east. So, but the airport is better right now. I mean, in terms of working with us, and there's some rules that they have to follow that we know they should be doing that. And so, but as you know, the airport's changed a lot. I mean, over time, every 10 years, it seems like it goes through this metamorphosis where it then goes back to passenger plane, hub. We were a hub spoke. That went away, and then, Delta left, and then actually DHL left, went to Wilmington, then it came back, and then Amazon. So, we have to keep an eye on, because if it's I always say if it's within the fence, the security fence, they're exempt if it's aviation related.
That fence keeps getting bigger.
Yeah, the fence. Yeah, people say, I stay up all night watching that fence line.
Well, then the big thing is how things change, like, let's take the expansion on Mineola and Donaldson. That wasn't even in the 20-year plan for that road expansion. All of a sudden, here comes Amazon. Guess what? We need a fast corridor to get to 275. All of a sudden, that jumps up and gets done in projects like Dixie Highway that's been on there for 50 years to widen that.
Well, Hosman Road's a great example.
Yeah.
That was closed, that we got over $1 million. But when we flipped that and built Arrow Parkway, which when it first opened was great, you get around Florence, so to speak. And then Amazon came.
Right.
Gridlock. And they actually have to add, I believe Amazon has to add another lane each direction. They haven't done that because they haven't expanded their second phase yet. They're in their first, remember, there's 3 million square feet. Going.
Oh, you have a question?
I did. What about the Marydale property? What's going on with that?
Great question.
Well, let's see. Western Southern owns it, the parent company, or there's a subsidiary that owns it. They had a plan. They were working with us, and then they announced the improvements to Mineola and Donaldson. So they said, let's freeze this because they were negotiating some issues. They had some issues with what the state was doing. So they used that time to negotiate that, and now there's obviously an agreement. So, and meanwhile, interest rates went up to 7%, and so they put a hold. But there's renewed interest in that. They're very, as you know, Western Southern's a very conservative company. They focus a lot of their holdings in Cincinnati and Florida. And we're kind of, they know the value of that. They know what we like for that area. They actually have a plan approved that was all office. They never built. Now, what's interesting is across the street is City Court. There's a renewed interest. They don't own that anymore. It's a company out of New York that owns it. But there's interest in developing that. There's a lot of land out there, and there's a lot. And they've downsized, but I call the candy companies moving over. Perfetti moved.
I think they leased up almost the whole floor. One of those buildings.
That's where she works.
So we're working with them on, they want to do a master plan, revise their, they actually have approval of stuff, but they want to rework it. So they're looking at that. So if you get both those going, there's some serious employment opportunities there.
It's a lot of acreage.
Yeah, if I had to predict that's gonna occur, I think within the next 5 years.
And that's
The
right.
road construction's done.
Yeah, and that road being pushed up helped that tremendously. You know, it was hard to develop that with a 2-lane Donaldson in front of there. Now you got a great infrastructure in place but whereas before would have been tricky with a lot of, high density.
There's one thing that is tricky with it. The priest cemetery is right.
That's right. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. Right?
Yeah.
Now, let me just mention one thing that's very important, folks. So we're updating our county transportation plan, which the last time it was updated, there were a lot of good projects that came out of that we implemented, the county. And we got funding for roads, we got all the stuff with Mineola, Donaldson, the interchanges, everything. We did a lot. We need to do more with that. We need to get more road projects. It's a very serious, we've been shortchanged for years. And so we need our fair share to get people back and forth within the community. We know the bridge is going to be a big thing, the companion bridge that will indirectly affect us, but we need to stay on top of that. So make sure you talk to your religion. Actually,
John,
Schickles here.
former legislator.
Former.
Getting back to that cemetery, which Paul mentioned.
Oh, he's talking about the cemetery.
Yeah.
Yes. I talked to the bishop about that. There's an easement. When they sold that property,
Right,
they
it's
got an
important.
easement for a road. So they're gonna the diocese is gonna maintain that cemetery, and there's gonna be a road that goes back.
Going directly.
Yeah, if you've never been there, it's it's like a park-like setting there, cemetery. So I
Thank you. Go ahead, Caroline.
Downtown Burlington,
Yeah.
I've been there 48 years. Best kept secret. The church and the rectory that is now a wildlife sanctuary for raccoons.
That's right.
Yes, so we've been working with the current property owners who's Merit Theater. And they're a nonprofit theater group. And we've been trying really hard to help them move along. I am concerned about the steeple and the roof currently. I'm not sure how we're gonna get through another winter. So we're looking at opportunities for them to collaborate with historic preservation, and we've already had them in contact with the state, the Kentucky Heritage Council and their tax credit program. And we're encouraging a structural assessment right now because there are plans, there are fabulous plans. They're trying to crowdsource the entire project. And that's fabulous. But it's a big project, right? I mean, you're looking at,
Do they own both of those?
they do own both of them.
Mhm.
And so, we're gonna continue to look at options, but also understand that the structure is our top priority.
Yeah.
And so, but as we're looking at the Burlington strategic plan, that study that we're updating, we're not only looking at infill, but we're looking at rehabilitation and adaptive reuse of the buildings that we have that are standing. Because we don't want any more demolition by neglect. And unfortunately, that's where we're standing with
Yeah.
sanctuary. So,
Okay.
thank you.
I would like to mention too that this place, planning and zoning is a thankless job. These guys do a great job. They're tremendous. It's a lot of data-driven decisions. When I was on the school board, it was very helpful. Kevin brought back, he just picked a scab. I forget what committee I was on for noise abatement. I actually had a guy named Dale Huber come and drive and sit in my driveway because he was swearing at the maps that the planes weren't going there.
Yeah.
And he apologized. The guy
Wow.
apologized, so that's class. Charlie, thank you for your service. You want to, he ticks off half the crew every week when they have their meetings. Remember Kim Bunger, what a quiet, soft-spoken gentleman he was. He was on this committee forever. I don't know how he did it. Kim ended up doing okay, still had his hair. Charlie, not working out for you.
There's just short. No, I mean, I love it. I love being on planning and zoning and, mainly because we have such a great staff. Makes.
Run a good meeting. You run a good meeting.
Well, yeah, and it's, yeah, and I'll make this quick. I know you guys are done at one, but it is funny because I'm not there in uniform. You know what I mean? And I'm used to 35 years now in law enforcement. So I'm used to like, if I tell somebody, okay, we've heard enough, sit down, and they don't. Now I'm like, oh, it's on now. Then I looked at it like, well, I'm in suit and tie. So it's not to say when you're in uniform, you tell somebody, right, John? When you tell somebody to sit down, you expect them to do it. Because
Right.
you know the fight is on. So that was my biggest transition as chairman, like, okay, stay seated, don't jump up, go around the audience, gonna knock the hell out of them, because that wouldn't go well, since we're televised.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is strap your sidearm on.
Just put it up on the table.
Yeah, I get the job done. Quickly, during the sermon yesterday, the priest had a great sermon, and the bottom line was make a difference. And listening to what he had to say, it's like, well, he's just talking about road. Absolutely, 100%. So go out there and make a difference.